afternoon, evening. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Welcome to my coverage of a really exciting mission today. This is one that I don't think I realized how excited I was until yesterday. I was excited about this one for a while because it's a really cool mission. But yesterday at the press conference, I had to hold back tears many times because this is really exciting. You guys are saying volume up. Is it really that quiet? Sorry, it's showing up pretty normal here, but I can try and do something here real quick. But yeah, yesterday, we had the press conference in the horizontal integration facility right at pad.
Let's lock that baby up. Alright, is that better? Is that better? That's too loud. Everything got bumped. Classic. Would it be an Everyday Astronaut live stream if it wasn't too loud? There we go. Hopefully that's about right. Maybe. You guys just tell me. You guys are now my my audio team too. That's so weird. Everything got changed. This is how it happens. This is what happens when I don't have Andrew out here. Is it better? Square wave. Oh, let me know if it's still showing pretty loud here. Sorry, guys. Getting better. All right. Hopefully that's better. But let me know. Almost? What the heck happened? Okay. Well, thank you guys for your patience. I am basically running this alone, but with the help, obviously, of Ryan Shalinsky from Cosmic Perspective, but also Cooper Heim, who've been helping me. But we, kind of cobbled this thing together. I have been all over the place lately, and hopefully this is getting better for you guys. So what's going to be really cool today here, this mission has more than just a big, pretty rocket launch here today. This is actually going to be a really big fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Hospital. If you guys aren't aware already, St. Jude Children's Hospital is one of the biggest children's hospital in the United States. And Jared Isaacman, who actually purchased this launch today, is working to try to raise $200 million for St. Jude Children's Hospital. And he's using this launch as an opportunity to raise awareness and get everyone excited about it. So in the spirit of that, what we're going to be doing here is if you go to everydayastronaut.com/donate, you will get a quick link right away to the St. Jude Children's Hospital fundraiser page. We will also, during the show, if you actually donate and you take a screenshot of your donation and send it off to website at everydayastronaut.com, we'll start at a minimum of $100. If you donate more than $100, the top donator, we'll try to keep it up to date so we don't just get flooded. The top donor today will get a huge merchandise package from me with a little note and some signed merchandise from me. I will send that off to you guys. So the winner, whoever donates the most money on today's live stream and shows proof of it to website at everydayastronaut.com, I will send you a big, huge thank you package on behalf of me and on behalf of St. Jude. Now, I can't promise that other people will sign it, but I'll try my best to see if I can get some more signatures on there. So, so that being said, we have some business to attend to. If I recall correctly, we better do what we do best here, which is actually a pre-launch preview. So anytime you guys have any questions about upcoming rocket launches, where they're going, what the mission is, who's on it, or what's on it, go over to everydayastronaut.com, then click on pre-launch preview. So this is our pre-launch preview here today. So again, everydayastronaut.com/pre-launch preview. So we're going to run through what this mission is doing, and it's going to be really cool today. So again, this is going to be taking off today. They're still tracking an on-time target of about an hour and 55 minutes from now, so 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. That is pretty much midnight UTC, or 8:02, so 2 minutes after midnight UTC time. Technically on September 16th for those of you at UTC. Mission name. This is the Inspiration 4 mission. Keep that in track because we're going to be hearing about this a lot. This is a really big mission. The launch provider who is launching today's mission is SpaceX. This is a SpaceX launch. And so keep that in mind. They are the launch provider, but not just the launch provider. They're also the provider of the spacecraft, and basically they're operating the entire mission So they're not just, lots of times, when a rocket delivers a payload, it's then in the customer's hands. This is kind of different because it's still SpaceX's payload. It's their Dragon capsule these astronauts are going to be on board. So the customer who's paying for this is a first for me in a live stream. Instead of talking about some organization or some company, the person paying for this is Jared Isaacman himself. By the way, I'm going to actually pull up, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the side-by-side here so you can watch both of these here. So maybe, where is that? Do I have that? I don't even remember what I'll have. Well, we'll be pulling up the desktop here, or actually being able to show the launch here in a second once I get through the pre-launch preview. But they are getting ready to close the hatch, and I will let you guys know when they do close the hatch. So, all right. So, okay. So this is being paid for by Jared Isaacman, and he is he's a billionaire, and he owns the Shift 4 shop. And I know there's a lot of talk about billionaires flying off into space, but the important thing to remember is not only is he also helping raise awareness and trying to raise $200 million. I think that's pretty admirable for a children's hospital. You got to give him credit there, obviously. But what you realize when he gave away the other 3 seats to people in order to help inspire everyone. And the people that he chose for this mission are absolutely incredible. If you have not watched Countdown on Netflix yet, it's almost too late to watch it now. But I mean, I only have been able to watch the first 3 out of 4 episodes. It is absolutely unbelievable. So, yeah, definitely watch that when you get a chance. It's incredible. Yeah, and by the way, if you guys are, if you're here with me, I should point out, by the way, that we are at Kennedy Space Center. We're only 3 miles, about 5 kilometers away from today's rocket launch. I'll show you a quick view of that because it's actually really, really cool. So, yeah, that's our view out the window. So, yeah, you can see me sitting in the car in air conditioner here with the thumbs up. But we're going to have a couple views here for you guys, too, including a nice tight shot, which is currently offline, as we would guess, of course. But there it is. So, yeah, I'm really excited. This is going to be a really, really cool mission. So we have a cool view for you guys, and we'll be able to pull up the live feed as well for you. So it's going to be pretty awesome. So, all right, let's get back into this here. So the rocket for today is the Falcon 9 Block 5. This is B1062-3. So this is its 3rd mission. And it only had a 91-day turnaround time. That's pretty short. It's not the shortest. They're getting down to those 30-day turnaround times. This is a little bit longer, but still 90 days to turn around an orbital class rocket booster is absolutely incredible still. No easy feat. So this will be the 3rd time this booster does an orbital mission. Still pretty crazy that we get to talk about that as if it's normal, but here we are. The payload mass for this or the launch location, this is taking off from historic Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So this is, of course, the launch pad. This is like the most famous launch pad in the world. This is where all astronauts that flew to the moon in the Saturn V and for the Apollo, here we go. They're closing the hatch, by the way. I guess I already had that checked. We'll go back a step. Hatch is now closed. So there you go. The hatch is closed as we speak. And yeah, that's an exciting milestone for sure. Things are tracking pretty well here. By the way, it's been tracking a little differently than than Demo 2 and other crew missions. They got out to the pad a lot earlier than we expected initially. So the schedule's a little different than a normal NASA crew mission. But so we're kind of had to wing it a little bit here today, but it's fun to see them progressing forward. And this is pretty much on time for the other crew missions we've seen so far. So cool. Anyway, okay, so so of course they are taking off from Launch Complex 39A, and this is extremely. This is the most epic launch site in the world. Again, almost every space shuttle mission launched from here too. This is where Bob and Doug took off last May. This is where Crew 1 and Crew 2 have launched from. This is the launch pad. So it's such an honor to be here at Kennedy Space Center. How cool that the first time we're going to just have citizens going with no professional astronauts. When we say citizens, of course, astronauts are citizens too, professional astronauts. But really what we kind of mean is these are not professional astronauts. These are not people that are paid to be trained astronauts. These are civilians, more or less, and they've had a very short amount of training, and there's no professional astronauts on board, which is absolutely incredible. A new era is truly upon us. So the payload mass for this is going to be 12.5 metric tons, 12,519 kilograms to be exact, so around 27,500 pounds. The spacecraft is, where is the spacecraft going? Crew Dragon C207-2, this is its second flight, will be placed into a 575-kilometer orbit at 51.6-degree inclination. That happens to be the same inclination that the International Space Station is on. Now, it will be free-flying. It's above the International Space Station. It is not going where the International Space Station is. It just happens to be on the same inclination, but it's not lined up with it in any way, shape, or form. Will they be attempting to recover the first stage? Yes, they intend to recover the first stage, as is these days pretty normal for SpaceX. Where will the first stage land? It's actually going to land 543 kilometers downrange on Just Read the Instructions. And it's going to be towed by Finn Folgut with the support of GoQuest as well. Will they be attempting to recover fairings? No, there are no fairings on Dragon 2. Weather is currently 90% go. It is gorgeous out here. Again, I should probably just show you the outside here. It is a beautiful night, and this will be just if they go at the beginning of their launch window, which is what it's currently tracking to do. If they do go right at the beginning of the launch window, that will be about 30-some minutes after sunset. So it should be a beautiful dusk launch. I really hope it goes right at dusk, because after that, you lose the rocket to the brightness of the engines. You know, after about 45 minutes to an hour, it's just too dark, and all you end up seeing is a big bright light in the sky. So it is fun to be able to see the rocket with a little bit of illumination, but 30 minutes might even be too late for that. But it should be a little bit better. Okay, let's keep going here. So so at 90% go. Hopefully that does happen. Now these are the fun stats, and this is why I love when Trevor Sesnick writes our articles here on our pre-launch previews, because he is the Falcon and Dragon master. Check out these stats; these are super fun to read. First fully private crewed orbital mission ever. Think about that. First time ever there's an orbital mission with all private citizens, or all, again, non-professional astronauts. Yes, we've had Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic do suborbital spaceflight this year, so about 10 minutes. They're going to be spending about 3 days in space, because they're going to be in orbit and not just suborbital. This is a completely different beast, a completely different experience, and a completely, it's substantially more complicated. So, yeah. Okay, so this is the first spacecraft not destined to a space station since STS-125, the last Hubble repair mission, which, if I recall correctly, was in 1999. So, that's absolutely wild. Was that right? Was it 99 or 2001? Let me know here, Discord, if you guys know offhand. But that's crazy. This is the first time there's going to be a free-flying vehicle without going up to the International Space Station. So, pretty incredible. I also, by the way, I have some of this stuff pulled up here in the car. I'm kind of watching. I do really want to encourage you guys to have the official SpaceX stream pulled up as well, to supplement, obviously, but also to watch some of this stuff too. So I'll be trying to do my little bit, and then we'll probably listen in and just answer some of your guys' questions as we progress throughout the closer to the T0. This is the first crewed flight on a 3 booster flights. This is, again, the third flight of this booster. This is the first time they've done that on Falcon 9. Not really anything that noteworthy these days. They fly stuff like this all the time. They've had boosters that have flown, they're coming up on their 10 flights, which is kind of their intended lifespan. So 3 is nothing. I'm not worried about the fact that this is the third time this booster's flown. I think it's pretty par for the course these days. This is the first Crew Dragon with a cupola. That's going to be really exciting. I cannot wait to see images. They basically replace the docking port with a giant glass dome. So when they open up the hatch, the nose cone hatch, instead of there being a docking port, because it doesn't need to dock to anything, it's not going to the International Space Station, it's not docking to anything. Instead, there's going to be this beautiful glass dome to offer up nearly 180 degrees panorama. Of course, you do have the nose cone there, but yeah. So that's going to be extra exciting, I think, and I think it's going to offer up just some amazing views for the crew on board. It will be the largest window, contiguous piece of glass basically flown in space to date. So I think that's pretty exciting. All right, this is the first time, I'll try to fly through these, I promise. First time 3 Dragons will be in orbit. We have Crew Dragon, Cargo Dragon, and another Crew Dragon. The highest a human has gone since STS-103 in 1999. Oh, so 103, okay, that makes sense. So 125 was a lot later. All right, the fastest turnaround time of a Dragon at 136.7 days. Previous record was 227. The second free flight mission of a Dragon ever. First was COTS Demo 1. So way back in like 2008 or 9 or whenever that was, the very first demonstration mission of Dragon, way back in the day, before they ever got to the chance to fly it to the space station. They first were able to free fly it. The fourth SpaceX crewed mission to date, we've had Demo 2, Crew 1, Crew 2, and now Inspiration 4. This is the third time they've reused Dragon 2, something that before they ever flew it, they were claiming they weren't going to be reusing them for Crew. Here we are, they're already right back into reuse. You know SpaceX, they can't help but just reuse hardware, and it's proven to be very safe and reliable and a successful thing for them to have chosen to do. This is the 12th reuse of a Dragon spacecraft altogether, because they do reuse cargo Dragons, 1 and 2, the original cargo and the new 2 Crew Dragons. This is the second crewed mission on a flight-proven Falcon 9 booster. The 7th Crew Dragon mission, the 126th Falcon 9 launch, tied with Soyuz 2 for the most launched operational rocket, so currently flying. So in other words, really soon the Falcon 9 is going to be the most launched rocket currently ever, or currently flying, I mean, period. And it's coming up on the flight record for the space shuttle, which had 135 flights. So that's a pretty fun milestone that it'll probably get close to beating this year, but probably not quite. 67th Falcon 9 flight with a flight-proven booster, so that's incredible. Over half their flights are on reflown boosters. 71st reflight of a booster. The 22nd reflight of a booster in 2021, 92nd booster landing, 23rd launch for SpaceX in 2021, 38th SpaceX launch from LC-39A, and the 90th orbital launch attempt of 2021 internationally, globally. So if you guys want to read through the rest of this article, I highly recommend it. everydayastronaut.com. Go to upcoming launches and pre-launch preview. You'll be able to get a little read through here of all the incredible crew, including, of course, Jared Isaacman, who we've mentioned is the individual that has paid for this mission. But we also have someone that I'm friends with and I've met before, Dr. Cyan Proctor. She's incredible. We've met at Yuri's Nights, I think 2 times now. Just a bundle of joy. Just such a wonderful, driven human. And to see her flying, fulfilling her dream of being an astronaut. She has literally been trying to become an astronaut her whole life. This is truly an incredible day for her. And as someone, I don't know her that well, who's going to be really fun to see her reaction will be Mary Liz Bender from Cosmic Perspective, because she is actually a close friend of Dr. Cyan Proctor. So that's going to be really, she's already emotional on launch days. I don't know how she's going to hold it together. Seeing an actual close personal friend fly, I mean, that's just going to, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine. But then, of course, we have incredible Haley Arsenault, who is a childhood cancer survivor who went to St. Jude Children's Hospital in order to be for treatment, and then that inspired her as a child to want to become a nurse later on. So she works at St. Jude, and here she is. She's going to be flying on behalf of all children for St. Jude, and I think that's just really, really cool. So, and she also will be the youngest American to ever go to orbit ever, at the age of 29. So. And then finally we have Chris Sombroski, it's so funny. He didn't seem that outgoing at first, and then yesterday at the press conference, he just was lit up like a child. I loved seeing that. He's so excited, and watching more of the Netflix documentary too, you just get the sense of who this man is. Really wonderful family guy. I can't imagine, he's got kids and his wife, well, so does Jared. I mean, just knowing that they're going to be watching, it's incredible. So. We're going to be cheering for them, but go ahead and read the rest of this article. I promise it's awesome. And thank you to Trevor Sesnick for the incredible article. So again, go to everydayastronaut.com, click on pre-launch preview. That being said, we're going to actually put this up here and kind of have it alongside, side by side here with one of our shots, just so you can kind of get a sense of what's going on here too. So there we go. That's that camera. Sorry, I'm clicking the wrong things here. But we made it through. I finally made it through the pre-launch preview. I did it. I did a thing. I have had a heck of a day. And what's hilarious for me is I might be stuck here at Kennedy Space Center. The Tesla that I rented out here is trying really hard to keep up with the air conditioner while plugged into 110. And I'm losing miles as we speak. So wish me luck. I might be camping out here. I can't camp out here. I might be getting a ride home and having to come back here in order to get the car tomorrow. That is a genuine potential. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you guys again for watching with me. It's really an honor. I do encourage you to pull up SpaceX's official live stream as well and be listening and watching for that. But the next thing that we're going to be coming up on, right now, basically the crew is going through comms checks, systems checks, and they're just making sure that everything is good to go now that they've closed off the hatch. So what that means is, they need to make sure their comms are okay, their suits are pressurized, and all of that stuff is good to go. And then they will do a final go, no-go poll at about T-minus 45 minutes. And they do that right before, basically right before they start fuel up. And before they start fuel up, they will also go into the firing up the launch abort system. So we'll be waiting on that here. There's going to be a handful of sequences of events here. In about an hour, let's see, we are at T-minus 1 hour and 40 minutes. So basically in a little under an hour, we're going to see a rapid sequence of events. But yeah, hopefully this all, if it goes off right at the beginning of the window, it's going to be beautiful. It's such a beautiful day here in Florida. One of the big things that they're tracking, actually, this is a really unique mission because normally when you fly to space, you're gone for, especially when it's an International Space Station mission, you're gone for normally about 6 months is what's normal for an International Space Station mission. Since they're only gone for, and so what that means is you're mostly worried about getting into orbit. So that's your biggest concern for weather is, can I get into orbit? And okay, then, you check out the ground level winds, the upper level winds, all that stuff. Make sure you're good to go. And one of the things that SpaceX has to consider is, is the weather good for landing on the drone ship with their Falcon 9 booster? Because that happens only, 10, 15 minutes after launch. That's when the booster lands. So they do kind of track some of the downrange weather a little bit. But then when you add in crew, now you're talking about, is it safe if the crew were to abort? If they had to abort during ascent, would they be safe to be recovered? Is the downrange weather good? Do they have to worry about, high winds or high seas or any of that stuff, rough seas in a potential recovery zone? So you have to think about that. But now the crazy thing, there's a whole other layer here for Inspiration 4. Since it's only going to be in space for about 3 days, they also have to consider what is the potential landing weather in 3 days here off the coast of Florida, either on the Atlantic coast or the Gulf Coast. It's pretty crazy to think that they have to, their mission planning today, and part of launching and the launch window today is whether or not it's going to be safe to land anywhere near Florida in the next 3 days. Just weird to think about. I've never had to, I don't think SpaceX has had to ever think about that. I've never had to think about that. You've probably never had to think about that. It's just kind of one of those fun considerations that makes this mission a little extra special and a little different. So, yeah, I hope that I didn't just bore you guys to death. But I think we're ready to start answering some questions for you guys. I hope that's okay with you guys. Thank you again. And I will, like I said, I really want to encourage you guys. Today will be, it's Mr. John Krause and his ninja. You guys have to look at this. Hey, I can actually touch you now because you're no longer, oh no, I can't, because in case we scrub, hang on, come over a little more. This is John Krause, everyone. You may have seen him up there on the crew access arm as the official. I didn't go up, just the tower. Oh, just he went to the tower, sorry. But he's the official launch photographer for Inspiration 4. Such an amazing person. Everyone say hi, John. Yay! Hey guys, that's awesome. Launch, go St. Jude, woo! Yes, yes. So that's what I was going to get into here. I wanted to remind you guys again that if you donate here today during the stream to St. Jude, which we have an easy link for you at everydayastronaut.com/donate, whoever has the highest donation for today, I'm going to send you a big fat thank you package, a personal thank you package. Signed by me with I'll write you a little note. Maybe I'll send you a little video. I don't know. But we're kind of going to have like an online bidding contest. So yeah. So keep that in mind. And if you do end up donating, we'll see where the first bids are at. Do we have a high bidder yet? If anyone has bid more than $100, or if you think you have the current high bid, we'll let you know. But send a screenshot of your proof of your donation to website at everydayastronaut.com. Yeah, and then we'll announce on the air at the end of the night who was the winner of a big old fat thank you to me, and we'll see how much. Yeah, hopefully that'll help. So, yeah. Okay. Yes, thank you. Okay, so here we go. Let's get to some questions for you guys. Let's see. This is an interesting. Yes, this is really interesting from our friend Musical Wolves. Which, sorry, I am seeing that tomorrow is not working currently, but let me try refreshing it. Asking who knew rockets can now help cure cancer. That is totally awesome. This is a very unique opportunity here, in my opinion, that, that there is a mission here that is raising hopefully $200 million to help not only just children, but even any cancer research, any disease research. Obviously, St. Jude is going to be helping treat children with diseases, but all that research benefits humanity, and so it's really quite amazing that this mission has such a big goal and has such an extra goal to it, and it's not just. I mean, and trust me, I'm Mr. Space. I love anything spaceflight, but the fact that it's it's something tangible like that with such an extra fun cause is really, really cool. So, yeah, let's see. This is from Brandon. Tim, do planets have a sky or is it just space? Well, that depends on the planet. So, there's a handful of, there's gas giants, which are basically just sky, like they're only gas. There is no solid terraformer. There is no land underneath it like Jupiter. All the outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus, all are gas giants. There is no core, rocky core or surface you can walk around on. Mercury has virtually no atmosphere. Venus has an insanely thick atmosphere. Obviously, Earth has an atmosphere, and Mars has a not very thick atmosphere, only about 1% that of Earth. But there is, if the question is, do they have a sky? Mars does have a sky. It's not very dense. It's not a very dense atmosphere. But most moons do not have atmospheres, and most, I guess, even small, asteroids and things that we know about don't have atmospheres either. They don't have enough gravity to contain any air molecules. So, but there's a few moons like Titan that has a very thick atmosphere, and that is a moon. So it kind of depends. There's many different variations altogether. So, yeah. All right. Let's see here. Do we have a? I'm trying to see if we actually have a list here. Okay. Well, unfortunately, the YouTube stream, I would like to set it to 2x, but the problem is you're going to be getting a delay from me, and it will never be in sync here. But I will try that. But yeah, unfortunately, it'll always be delayed between my time. So actually what's going to happen is I'm going to be 20 or 30 seconds ahead of the official stream here. So just keep that in mind. So you'll see our clocks are different, but my clock is synced up to the local time. It is synced up to the local clock. So you're going to see whether or not this thing launches ahead of time from the official SpaceX stream. Actually, when we get closer, I will probably turn off the official stream until it gets into, until it gets out of view of our tracking cameras. So yeah. Let's see here. Oh, yes, I love it. In Discord, we've got people with 4 screens up. That is awesome. Matt, the Rocket Nerd. Yes, I encourage everyone to just have your browser windows open, my friends. Just go for it. Do everything you can. All right, so that was, do planets have a sky? Let's see if I can answer a few more questions. Again, we're going to put any good question you guys have up. You don't have to do any kind of super chat or anything like that. And I encourage you to not be super chatting today. Please just be going to everydayastronaut.com/donate and donating directly to St. Jude today. This is a mission with a little bit bigger emphasis behind it. So let's focus on that. I appreciate, obviously, the support from you guys, myself, but we're going to focus on non-super chat messages today. But thank you so much for the flight money and the Airbnb money. It does make my job possible, so I really appreciate it. Let me see if I can get into here. But man, Andy Law, what are you doing for St. Jude's? Andy, if you can retract that and please send it off to St. Jude directly, everydayastronaut.com/donate. I don't deserve that. That should be going directly to St. Jude. But thank you so much, Andy, and also for all your help with the website and everything and all of this. So thank you, Andy Law, such a phenomenal person. I can't wait to meet Andy in person. But Andy's been helping out behind the scenes at Everyday Astronaut for almost 2 years. So Andy, you're awesome. I really, really appreciate everything you do. Let's get to a few more. This is a good question. I don't know if we know the answer to this. Jokerface asking, will the crew get astronaut wings for this mission while they are doing experiments during flight in orbit for 3 days? I assume they would. I assume the crew is going to be getting astronaut wings because by every definition to date, they are going to be astronauts. That was a debate with the suborbital flights, whether or not you cross the Kármán line, does that make you an astronaut, right? But when we're dealing with an orbital flight, there is no debate. You're as much of an astronaut as anyone who's ever flown to orbit. As a matter of fact, you're flying higher than most astronauts that are alive today have ever flown. You know, most of them have gone to the International Space Station for the last 20 years, which is at about 400 kilometers. This is going up almost 50% higher, so 575 kilometers in altitude. That's quite a bit higher. The view from that cupola is going to be absolutely incredible. Let me try and get to a few more of your guys' questions here. This is one that I know is going to come up, and this is actually something that I asked on the original press conference the day it was announced back in, when was that, like January or February? Probably, I think it was January. So it was when Inspiration 4 had this press conference, and I phoned in, and I had to ask this question. I hate to be the guy that asks where the bathroom is on Dragon, but normally when you're flying Dragon, it goes to the International Space Station. You might only be on Dragon for about 24 hours, and then after that, you know, you can use the International Space Station's bathrooms. But Crew Dragon is relatively small. It's like it'd be like a large family tent, basically, as far as volume. So where do you go to the bathroom? There's a little bit of there's like a blanket that kind of covers and makes a kind of a little bit of a privacy screen. But for the most part, you're pretty much going to the bathroom with your crewmates, which I'm sure would be intimidating. But I hope at this point they're all comfortable enough with each other to understand that, you know, every human does this, and it's a part of being human. So yeah, it's definitely not the most luxurious aspect of flying on Dragon, free flying Dragon, but it is the reality of the situation. So yeah, I thought that'd be kind of yeah. Let's see here. I'm guessing, so real quick, Corona Kivo had a really good question in Discord. I don't know if I can pull it up here, but I do like this question. If mods, if you can ping this one. Corona Kivo asked, would the crew be able to see the ISS pass by underneath them? I don't think they're on the same node. So, you know, just because you're on the same inclination, you have to be in line with the ISS in order to even be remotely close to it. Not only that, not only do you have to be, this is how crazy orbital mechanics is. So not only does your inclination, so that's your angle of like, here's your planet, here's your inclination. So 0-degree inclination would be around the equator, 90 degrees would be going up over the poles, 51.6 degrees is where the ISS is. So not only do you have that, you also have to worry about phasing. So if you launch and you get into orbit and you're on the opposite side of the planet as the ISS, especially in 3 days, despite that altitude difference, you wouldn't catch up to each other, likely. I don't know for sure. I can't say that definitively, but you likely wouldn't catch up to each other. But then we also have to worry about the actual ascending node. I believe that's what it's called, right? Or not the ascending node. The what is that? The ascension to the node. I forget the term. But sorry. And also, I've had almost no sleep today, so I am running on absolute fumes. So I'm sorry if I'm not the best host. I am going to probably be extra emotional when this thing launches. So I'm just pre-apologies. But yeah, so the odds of it also, it has to be lined up with the exact inclination as the International Space Station was launching too. That's why when Falcon 9 launches something to the ISS, it has a 1-second launch window. If they launch, you know, a second too late, the ISS is tracking, you know, don't forget the Earth is spinning at almost 1,600 or 1,500 kilometers an hour. So if you know, miss it by only a little bit of time, the Earth has already moved outside of that, the ascending node, longitude of the ascending node. Yep, there we go. The ascending node. So you are no longer, your orbits actually aren't in line with each other. They can be out of phase. So even if they happen to be in phase with their orbital, how, you know, where they're actually at in their orbits, if that happens to line up and it's like this, maybe, but they also have to be on the same ascending node. That's getting a little advanced, sorry. If you play Kerbal Space Program, you kind of know how hard it is to rendezvous with something that's at an inclination, because you have to line up that inclination too. So, all right. Let's get to a few more questions here. This is an interesting question. Kinda Aerospace asking, is NASA supporting Inspiration 4? So there's an interesting collaboration. We're in this unique time in which NASA has to kind of do some NASA stuff at these missions, but they're kind of hands off a little bit. So it's not even like they're more hands off than a normal mission, but it's on their property. So they're still providing support. They're still providing infrastructure. They're still providing, there's a lot of agreements and kind of tiptoeing and changing of rules now with NASA. They're trying to have to figure out with commercial programs like this. This is new territory. This might be, this is the first, this is kind of a pioneering thing, but who knows, from here on out, it might get easier. They might get more lax, saying, okay, well, you're leasing this land, but it is government property. So there's a whole lot of just things don't move very quickly. So if things are inefficient, it might take a little while for it to actually catch up. So, but yes, NASA is still, kind of behind the scenes here, helping out. It's they're leasing this launch pad to SpaceX, but it's an interesting thing. It's a really interesting collaboration here. So, yeah. All right. So this now, as a member of Team Space, I don't want to necessarily encourage this type of stuff, but it is important. There's that general perception of people not necessarily understanding the difference between suborbit and orbital. And it's not to knock those doing suborbital missions. I think there's value in suborbital space tourism. I think could be a very profound experience for people. And it's much less expensive to go to suborbit. You're maybe at $250,000 or $500,000, as opposed to something like $50 million per seat for this mission. Now, we don't actually know the exact price of this mission, but it's likely somewhere around $100 to $200 million. So divided by 4, you're somewhere between $25 and $50 million per person. So obviously that's a lot more expensive than these suborbital space flights. So there is, when it comes to bottom dollar, do you want to see Earth from a different, unique vantage point? When it comes down to per minute, this might end up being cheaper. I don't know. Someone do the math. What's 3 days? What's basically, we'll say 50 million divided by 3 days versus $250,000 divided by 10 minutes, dollar per minute. Or technically in space, you're really only in space for about 4 minutes or a minute, or maybe not at all in those suborbital missions. So, and that's up to each individual, whoever is ending up booking these commercial flights, for them to decide. I bet dollar per minute, now that I think about it, I guarantee this mission's actually cheaper. Yeah. So let's keep going here. This is from Stefan. Why is the last moment to stop it normally 45 minutes before the start? So that's not necessarily to stop it. They just go into so that is the go, no go. And that's just go, no go, basically saying they're go for fuel up and going into terminal count. There's an automated flight sequence that the Dragon goes into. So the Dragon capsule and Falcon 9 is entirely automated. So basically, before they hit, go ahead and start your fuel up process and go ahead and start your launch process. There is a go, no go pull. So that is the last opportunity to raise any concerns of, hey, weather's not looking great, or we're noticing this valve on this engine isn't quite giving us the right stuff here. That is your last opportunity to kind of raise those concerns before you get into that terminal countdown. After that, they will begin the actual countdown process. But anytime during that countdown process, they can manually scrub and say, hey, hold. We have an issue on this sensor on this engine, or a pressure issue or anything like that. So, yeah. Hopefully that helps explain that for you guys. This is an interesting question. Again, we kind of talked about phasing and things, but I want to get to this one right away. From Christian Romani, thank you for your question. Will they be able to go to the ISS for help if something goes wrong? No. For many reasons. First, they don't have a docking port. They cannot dock to the ISS. And as much as I want things to work out like the movie Gravity, where once you're in space, you can just kind of zip over to here, zip over to there, the reality is you're moving at 28,000 kilometers an hour, 17,500 miles an hour. And the other thing, if you're trying to rendezvous, even if it's a little bit off of your angle, you're moving at vastly different speeds relative to each other. So there's a huge speed difference. If you're, say, 90 degrees to each other and you're both going, in an orbit, your potential collision speed there is insane. So just because you're in space, and even if you're in the same inclination, your relative speeds to each other might be hundreds or thousands of kilometers, meters per second different. So yeah, it's actually really, really, really hard to be lined up with the ISS. And again, they are at the same inclination, but I don't think they're going to be synced with the phasing and synced with the actual ascending node with the International Space Station. So there is really almost zero chance. I don't even know where the ISS is right now. We could probably actually pull it up here if you guys want. And we could look at exactly where it is here. By the way, we are losing some light, and I should probably get Ryan to check out that camera here for us. So maybe we'll switch to this one here. Or maybe we'll just go like this, so you can see, oopsies, the full desktop there. So yeah, so it's really fast, and you have to line things up in a perfect sequence and perfectly in sync in order to actually rendezvous with anything. So again, no docking port, and it's not going to be in sync and rendezvousing with the ISS. There's no chance of that. But yeah, that is a very good and important question. Let me try to get to a few more questions. Great question here from MXP. Tim, how is the rocket engine video going and when will you post it? You know my answer to when I will post it. Of course, my answer to when I will post it is when it's done. That is always going to be my answer. Yeah, it'll be done when it's done. It has been shot. The dialogue cut has been edited. The patrons and YouTube members have seen the dialogue cut. It's very boring. There's no B-roll. Our beautiful family tree isn't up at all. It's basically just an hour and a half of me blabbing at the camera. So I don't recommend. It's a hard thing to watch, honestly, because it's a lot of numbers, a lot of facts, and it only really, the biggest value in this video is going to be all of those beautiful graphics and all of the things displayed on screen as I talk about them, showing you the family tree as it goes out. And I don't remember, I should count how many engines. I think it's something like 60 or 80 or 100, I don't even know. Probably 60 or 80 engines that we're talking about, and they're all put together in their order of events. It's going to be absolutely incredible. So, yeah, I hope that you guys are ready for that video. It's been a big undertaking. But the cool thing is, even though I've been down here, I had to drive down to Texas to get gear, then flew to Florida for this mission. So I've actually been basically MIA for the last week. But the fun thing is that Andrew, who you've probably seen him work on stuff with me at Mars Studio, but also he helps co-edit the videos as well, was getting a start on some of those graphics. So we're in progress. It's going to be a crazy month for me, but we're going to be working on it as much as I can, and Andrew will be working on it too in the background. So hopefully that video comes out here in the next month. I know that sounds like a really long time, but there's a ton of work to do, and I am not going to be home for a while already. So hopefully that helps. Yeah. This is a good question from Musical Wolves. Will a pressure check need to be done on the cupola in addition to the door? That's a great question, and it's important to remember that there is, on top of the cupola, there's the actual nose cone that opens up, but that's not like pressurized to space. But underneath the cupola, between the cupola and the main cabin area, there is an actual hatch. So that hatch, they can tell the pressure above the hatch and make sure once they get into orbit, once they get out of the atmosphere, is it safe to open the hatch? So they do have a backup, because this is the first time this cupola has flown. They've never flown a cupola like this before. They developed it in under a year, which we learned at the press conference, which is just the wildest thing ever. I cannot believe they developed a major piece of hardware like that for an orbital spacecraft in under a year. That just shows the speed of the commercial program here in the commercial industry. So the cool thing is they do have a backup. Since this is the first time, worst case scenario, they just keep the hatch closed and they don't use the cupola at all. But hopefully that helps answer that question. This is a good question from Colin. Interesting. What is one question you wished more people asked me? Man. Right now, I think it would be, I still think there's a lot, this is a big question, and it's probably good people don't ask me often, because it will get me on a rant or a tangent, and I don't know if we feel like doing one. You guys let me know. Do you want me to go on a long... The question is, why spaceflight? Why do we spend money on space when we could be spending that money here on Earth? And this is borderline philosophical, but yeah, why don't I answer that? Because that is a question that I see a lot on the internet, and I want to address. But the question being, why do we spend money on space when we could be spending that money on Earth? Well, first off, of course, it's a bit of nirvana to think that you can just say, hey, all of that money that would have gone to this rocket could go here, to X, Y, or Z, to, feeding children, or to, helping lower poverty, or to cure cancer or something like that, right? Life just doesn't, the economy doesn't work that way. First off, you can't just say, we're going to take money from this that would have been spent here and going here, because this is actually a commercial industry. So when a company hires SpaceX to, say, launch a satellite, they're expecting to be able to make money off of that. They're expecting to be able to profit off of their satellite in orbit, providing services for us on Earth, right? They're going to be providing GPS, well, those are not commercial, but, providing maybe communications or satellite TV, things that we rely on every single day. And if they are not making money, there's no profit motive. They're not going to have employees that are getting paid and are paying taxes. And SpaceX won't be employing 10,000 people who probably have an average salary of, say, 6 figures, we'll just say. So maybe they're paying $10,000 in taxes a year. So let's just, bare minimum, let's just pretend SpaceX didn't exist. You would have 10,000 employees that are likely either working somewhere else. They maybe wouldn't be getting as much money as they are. And let's just do some math here quick. Let's say there's 10,000 people making about $100,000 a year and paying about 10% in taxes. That's what, $100 million? Let's say, $100 million in tax revenue. That can go towards schools. That can go towards medical research. That can go towards infrastructure and all the things that benefit us as a culture. So let's say they're getting paid twice as much to work at this high-end, high-money, high-value space industry versus, say, working at a, anywhere else, maybe a car manufacturing company or something. It's there is growth in economy, and the fact that an economy is spurring and there is money being moved around, that money stays here on Earth. That money goes towards employees. That money goes towards services. That money goes here on Earth. We don't just take money and put it into space and let go of it. That's the important thing to remember. It's not just, hey, let's launch this into space and launch a pallet of $200 million into space. That's just not how it works. That money is spent here on Earth. And not only that, inspirationally, as far as, getting people to want to pursue careers in space flight or in aerospace, again, that can just help the economy all the way through. You have a better educated society. You have people out there pursuing aerospace engineering degrees or mathematics or science, what have you. And it ends up making us a better species, in my opinion. So, yeah. This is a great question from Air Terranian saying, how much training have the crew been given compared to other astronauts? Only about 6 months of training compared to several years. Normally, astronauts are 2 to 5 years of training before they are given the opportunity to fly. This mission is quite different. Only about 6 months. So that's massively different. Oh, good question. I do need to pin the donation link. Thank you very much, Leo the Human in Discord, for letting us know. http://everydayastronaut.com/donate. Donate to St. Jude here. Boom. Putting this thing up. Everyday Astronaut. Just making sure it's good.com/donate. All right. Replace pinned. All right. Let's keep going here. This is from Tony. Hey, Tim, would you have accepted if Jared offered you one of the seats? So, honestly, when I thought about, applying at first, when I first heard about it, and this is maybe the dumbest reason ever. I know this is so stupid. This is maybe in retrospect the dumbest decision or reason for not wanting to even potentially sign up. I didn't even apply. I didn't want to apply because I didn't want to miss anything Starship related this year. Since that was basically January, February when that was going on, that competition, I wanted to make sure I was here on Earth and not worried about training and not worried about anything else when they landed the first Starship. And that's literally one of the biggest reasons right there why I did not even sign up or try to sign up. Now, if the timing had been different, if this had been maybe a year ago, before Starship was ramping up and before I really was dedicated to trying to witness history, I would have considered it more. But I also didn't feel really deserving of this one. This one, I applied for Dear Moon, and the reason that I applied for Dear Moon is he's looking for artists, and he's looking for, he's not looking for, these pillars that Jared was looking for with hope and inspiration and generosity. What was Cyan's? But I just didn't feel like I was qualified for that either. I felt like there's much better candidates out there. And as soon as I started seeing the candidates come through, actually, I literally saw Cyan Proctor's her video, and I was like, yeah, I don't fit this. Yeah, I don't think I'd fit any of them. So, and yes, there is still Dear Moon, but we don't know anything about that, which is really frustrating actually for me because I don't know. So, let's see. Okay, this is from Stephanie. Where on everydayastronaut.com can I don't find the donate link for St. Jude's? Again, everydayastronaut.com/donate. It is a pinned comment now. Please, instead of doing super chats today, or instead of, don't forget, we're working on trying to make it so whoever is the top donor and sends proof of your donation to website at everydayastronaut.com, I'm guessing we got to be over 100. Has anyone sent in something more than $100 into website at everydayastronaut.com? Whoever sends the most, whoever has the highest bid today, I'm going to send you a big fat thank you package. So again, everydayastronaut.com/donate. Sean Pierce on YouTube saying, my countdown clock is ahead of SpaceX. You're darn right it is, because we are here in real time. We have very low latency. We're only, from that thing taking off to it reaching your eyeballs, will only be about 3 to 5 seconds. And there is a pretty big delay in SpaceX's stream. I even have their stream. Yeah, we are a full minute ahead right now. Why does there seem to be drifting? Let me make sure we are all the way caught up here on their stream. But is that any better? No, that seemed to get worse. What is going on? But yeah, we are actually playback speed 2x. I mean, we're supposed to be as live as humanly possible. Yeah, Ryan, go ahead and do your thing, buddy.
You got it.
Yeah. So hopefully we're not too far off, but it does appear that we are quite a bit ahead, and I'm not sure how we got more ahead in doing so, but we are officially quite a bit ahead, like a minute and a half ahead. Let me see if we can. No, we can't even go any further. I did the 2x trick, and we're still way ahead. But oh, there we go. Maybe it caught up now. We're about a minute ahead. That's just the reality. We're a minute ahead, and maybe some of this is because of Netflix. It might be, I don't know if you guys are aware, but Netflix obviously did a big documentary about this. You need to watch that. It's absolutely incredible. But yeah, maybe because Netflix is airing it too on their own YouTube channel, maybe they wanted a little more of a buffer, like 1 minute. But we will be bringing it to you guys in very low latency, like for sure under 10 seconds. I think it's going to be about 7 seconds actually. So yeah, so if you want the closest thing to real time, tune in here. We will be, yeah. Let's see. Okay, so let's actually, by the way, I want to pull up here. We actually have our second view here that I want to pull up. That'll be really cool. So 1 second here. I think Ryan just fixed the, yes, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so let's see how we're doing here. Making sure cables don't get pinched. Whoop. They are pinched, but you know what? They're working, so. Oh yeah, we never did a pointy end up, flaming and down check. And actually, this is a great, we do have 2 views up here for you, so we can check officially. That is something that we normally have in the countdown. Why don't we go back and make sure it's checked here? But this is something that we should have checked at the very beginning. Is the pointy end up and the flaming end down, based on many layers of observation, based on having been at the pad this morning and been out there yesterday? I can confirm officially the pointy end is up and the flaming end is down, my friends. So yeah, we are again at T-minus 1 hour. So yeah, that's awesome. That is so cool. Hopefully this all goes off really well today. By the way, I hope you guys can see the VAB here. It is so beautiful. That actually did not help, did it? That made it worse. But yeah, the VAB behind me, this is one of my favorite buildings in the world. That is where every Saturn V and every space shuttle rolled out of that, getting ready to go into space or to the moon. So such a beautiful and historic building. Currently SLS is actually inside there. I really wish they had that open right now so we could just see it and peek at it, but they have not. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's go to this. Universal Pain. I'm asking, can you break down for us how release mechanisms for Falcon 9 work in comparison to the SN orbital rocket in Texas, i.e., they big brake pads or clamps, etc. So the way that the Falcon 9 clamps work, they basically, I'm not entirely positive of the exact mechanism, but it is something that kind of holds down on the rocket and has to go like this and basically release once the rocket has confirmed that it's lit and it's going. Now what's cool is they can hold on to the rocket entirely through the clamps. So what that allows them to do is ignite the engines, make sure everything's running smoothly, and then from that point on, they basically let go of the rocket, and the rocket begins to ascend. But those clamps, the clamps don't have to hold down the whole thrust of the rocket. The rocket's producing, what is it, 1.7 million pounds of thrust or something like that. Something like, I can't quite remember how much thrust that is in newtons or in kilonewtons, or in meganewtons, if I remember it. 35 is this something? It's something like Oh, remind me, 7.8 or 8 or 9 kilonewtons of thrust. No, that doesn't sound right. I don't remember, something like that. But it doesn't have to overcome all of that. All it has to overcome is the amount of thrust that's greater than the weight of the rocket. So those clamps are sitting there holding down. Although, when they do drain the tanks completely, like out of McGregor, when they do a full duration static fire, the tank will end up being almost empty at the bottom of it. So they have an additional hold down with a cap on top of it. And that, along with the launch clamps, hold it in place. So yeah, they really only have to hold the difference. 7,600 kilonewtons of thrust. Thank you very much. Yeah, I was thinking meganewtons. Yeah, 7,607 kilonewtons of thrust. So the difference is the rocket, or the clamps only have to hold the difference between the amount of thrust and the weight of the rocket, which is at liftoff somewhere around 1.3. So it'd be something like, I don't know, 2 to 3 kilonewtons of thrust worth. Anyway, the way that's different from the launch pad with the booster, I don't exactly know the mechanism yet. I have seen it. I don't quite understand how it works, but it kind of holds on and then folds into itself from inside that launch ring. But it's the same theory. I don't exactly know the exact mechanism, but hey, we have Charlie. Is that Charlie Bolden there on screen? That's very cool. I'm actually going to listen in here for just a second and take a little talking break, but I'm going to be listening in. I'm going to give you guys the audio too here of the official stream. I do want to hear what Charlie Bolden has to say because he is awesome. Yeah, give me 1 second here and I'll pull that up for you guys.
I fell in love with a place called the United States Naval Academy, watching a program on television called Men of Annapolis. And I struggled to get there, and when I finally got there, that led to my going into the Marine Corps, which led to my going to flight school, which led to my going to test pilot school, which led to my meeting the late, great Dr. Ron McNair, who was in the first group of space shuttle astronauts selected. And he's the guy that embarrassed me into applying for the space program. So I kind of fell into it. I don't recommend that kids follow my example, though.
Well, it sounds like you've had quite the journey throughout your career. And speaking of journeys, we talked a little bit earlier about the history of Pad 39A, which we see over your shoulder there in the distance. How does space travel look different from the days when you were an astronaut compared to the last 10 years or so?
You know, Kate, I think it's dramatically different. I mean, the techniques, the orbital mechanics, everything, all the laws and everything are the same, but it's the face of space flight today that is dramatically different. I'm so excited to be here this evening for this launch because, you know, I was telling somebody earlier today, just the thought of having an all-commercial crew, a crew of non-professional astronauts lift off from the same launch pad where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin left before they stepped on the moon is just flabbergasting. It's sort of it's the complete cycle of a tale to get us from where it was nothing but government to where now we can actually have an all-civilian, all-commercial flight where NASA's really not involved at all, other than being the host here at the Kennedy Space Center.
And we're so thankful that you guys are able to host us. Now, if SpaceX were hosting you on today's mission, imagine if you were part of the inspiration for Crew. What 2 or 3 personal items would you want to take with you?
You know, I love listening to each of the crew members talk about what they took, and on each of my flights, my very first flight, as a matter of fact, since I didn't know whether there would be any more, I took a ring that had belonged to my mother. I actually wore a pearl cross that she had worn since she was a child because it meant a lot to her. And I took very personal items also. If I were to go today, I now have a 12-week-old grandson, so I would have to take something that belongs to him, young Walker Elias, and I have 3. I'm blessed with 3 beautiful granddaughters. So my guess would be that at least 4 of those items would be from the 4 grandkids today.
You mentioned your grandkids. How do you imagine that the future of spaceflight might look whenever they are adults and possibly growing up to become astronauts themselves? Oh.
You know, Kate, I am firmly convinced that by the time Walker, who's the baby now, the 12-week-old, by the time he gets ready to go to space, we're going to be talking about, I mean, going to the moon will be, routine is not a word I like to use, so let's not do that, but it will be a place where we go with some frequency, and we'll be venturing off to Mars also. So I think there's a very good chance that probably Walker and maybe my baby granddaughter Talia will have an opportunity to be among the first people to actually set foot on Mars. So I'm very hopeful that they will end up doing that. And if they decide that they don't want to go to space, they don't want to fly, we're big proponents of, Zion is actually really pushing the arts. I really agree with what she says. Arts and design are key aspects of what's required for us to even get people to space. And they are two areas that we should not overlook as we talk about STEM education. But the arts and design are what gives us as an example, the wonderful spacesuits that the crew is wearing today. Some designer actually sat down and thought about that. That's not aerodynamic. That's actually a little arts and design there. So I think the world is the oyster for my grandchildren, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You add the A into STEM and you get STEAM, right? Now, years ago at
exactly right.
Years ago at a joint SpaceX NASA launch, you gave observers some really great advice, and that was to put their phones down and watch the launch with their own eyes and just really enjoy the experience. Now, with our Inspiration 4 crew sitting in their seats, what advice would you give to those civilian astronauts as they are preparing to go to space for the first time?
Believe it or not, I sent Jared a text a few days ago, and then I had an opportunity to say hello to them before they walked out today. And my advice to them was relax, enjoy it, suck it up, really spend time in the window to look at the incredible beauty of our planet from a perspective that not very many humans will have had. We've flown 500 and some odd humans to space, but as you all keep pointing out, when I flew my Hubble Space Telescope mission, we were at 600 kilometers, and that was a view that only people who had gone to the moon had before, and we've not had any views like that since because we've just not gone that high. They are going to be in a unique position looking at this planet from almost 600 kilometers, and it's breathtakingly different from looking on board the International Space Station. That's awesome. But it's amazing how much just the additional 100 or so kilometers adds to your perspective. You don't see the whole planet, but they're going to see a lot more of it than people see from the International Space Station. And I just hope they'll take an opportunity to suck it up and enjoy it and visualize it so they can tell stories about it to their children and grandchildren and to every kid they meet when they come back. Because that's actually the most important role for an astronaut is to become storytellers and help people understand why it's important to take care of our planet and why we're running out of time, and we've got to be better stewards of the planet. So I'm excited for them to have this opportunity.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. As the mission name indicates.
All right, I'm going to get back to answering some questions for you guys here, but we are coming up. I'm going to be listening in here when we get near that T-minus 45-minute mark, and actually just get you guys up to date there. So that's going to be the next thing that we're waiting on here. As you know, is T-minus 45 minutes is the go, no-go poll. So I'll start turning it around T-minus 46 minutes. I'm also going to make sure that my stream isn't in 4K. People pointed out that would be more latency. You are absolutely correct. I am not, and that is still not explaining why we are so far ahead of the official stream. Well, regardless. All right, let me answer some of you guys' questions. Let me know. Reminder, you don't have to do super chats to ask questions. I'll put up whatever our mods catch on air. If it's a good question, we'll answer it for you. Or we'll try to answer it. I can't get to every question here today, but the important thing to remember is if you instead of donating today, you're not really going to be getting my attention with any super chats here. Instead, go to everydayastronaut.com/donate, where you're going to be rerouted to the official St. Jude Children's Hospital. Here, I'll actually throw this up here so you guys know what you're going to be looking for. When you go to everydayastronaut.com/donate, you actually will see this website, and you'll see Haley Arsenault there. And so yeah, if you guys please go to everydayastronaut.com/donate, or actually stjude.org/donate/I4, but I figure everydayastronaut.com/donate. It's easier to remember. Do this. Please donate to St. Jude Children's Hospital today. They're trying to raise $200 million. So yes, please do that. I will be donating myself, of course. I've already donated a few times to a few different. They've had some really cool campaigns with people. So I've continually donated and supported. I think you guys should. I encourage you today. But again, if you are the highest, whoever ends up with the highest donation today, please send proof of that donation to website at everydayastronaut.com. Maybe put your the number right in the title so we can easily go through them all today. But whoever is the highest bidder, either on air, we'll let you know, or not the highest bidder, but the highest donation today, either on air or check on Twitter. We will announce the winner, and I will be getting in touch with you and sending you a very big thank you package from me of a lot of cool merch and maybe some other fun stuff and a nice little note and things like that too. So everydayastronaut.com/donate. So there we go. Okay. So let's see here. Let's get to a few more questions. So this is a really good question because let me get back to this shot here for you guys. So that is a live shot looking out over there. I might almost have to have Ryan crank the exposure up already. It's starting to, we're losing light pretty quickly here. We're coming up on sunset in about 20 minutes. So the go, no go poll will be right during the prettiest times here. That'll be awesome. So we have that shot and we also have this shot. Oh, I should probably also explain, people are asking, Tim, why are you in a car? Well, I actually, believe it or not, I actually have a pretty good reason for being in a car. Number one is when it rains out here, it's nasty. And it was scheduled, we were looking at the schedule and everything and the weather, and it was very likely to just kind of be sprinkling throughout the day and during setup and stuff like that. And it's just not worth it to have everything out and have to worry about weatherproofing stuff or any of that. By having it all in a car, I can close up the windows and just be totally safe from the weather. I can also be in climate control, which is nice, and not worrying about sun and sunburn and things like that. Oopsies. Hey, Ryan, can you try not closing it since there's those cables? Sorry. We don't want to get broken here. Oh, it is chomping down on the wires. Yeah, you might just have to fight it. It's got a power hatch. This is funny. You guys are seeing this. I forget they're seeing the feed. Oh, cool. Very careful now. It's going to be chompy. It might eat your hands. Maybe use the license plate part. We have cables running through the trunk, which we would pull in if there was bad weather. But that is so funny. The things you see on an Everyday Astronaut live stream. Just ridiculous antics. But yeah, the idea for me is I can actually use this as like a mobile command center. So I actually have like everything kind of set up here. It actually works out great. I can watch the stream on the screen of the Tesla, which is nice. I can also watch, I have 2 other monitors and the switcher all inside, you don't have to worry about weather. And that's kind of the idea. And also it's easy to set up that way, so we don't have to worry about a table and things like that. So that's my thought process. I'm probably wrong. It's probably the dumbest idea I ever have, but I like it. And sometimes that's what matters. All right, so let me also get ready to pull up the feed again here because we are getting darn close to that T-minus. Oh, that is so weird. My car, that is weird. Why is it so far behind on here, but it's actually really far ahead on my the car screen. So we'll see if I can't get caught up here. But we are coming up on the next event, which is going to be the Go No Go poll. So from Artemis Fowl saying, how long is this mission? This will be a 3-day mission into orbit. So it's not, again, it's not a suborbital mission. This is an orbital mission, which is why they're riding the Falcon 9 rocket, which is a very formidable medium lift launch vehicle. So it's capable of slinging that Dragon capsule up to its peak altitude. It will be a circular orbit of 575 kilometers. That's very high. That's higher than any human has been since the shuttle program with the Hubble servicing missions. So it's actually higher than the Hubble is currently today because the Hubble telescope is kind of lowering its altitude from very little tiny bits of drag. So it's actually going to be the highest anyone's flown since then. Really, in some ways, it's higher than any human has flown since the Apollo program, which is just crazy. So, yeah. This is a really cool one. Let's see. Let's ask a few more questions here. Answer a few more. What's my favorite thing about space? I don't think I like space. Space is nothing. Like space is the absence of anything, really. And we define space kind of internationally for the most part as the Kármán line, anything above the Kármán line. But the reality is there's virtually no difference. Once you're above like 30 kilometers, 50 kilometers, you're above the vast majority of any discernible atmosphere. So it's kind of trivial after that. You would die, if you're above 20 or 30 kilometers and you were exposed to that altitude, you would die from decompression because there's you're pretty much above most of the atmosphere. But we've defined 100 kilometers as kind of the boundary of space. But really all that means is that the atmosphere is virtually not there, because the atmosphere doesn't just stop. It just gets thinner and thinner until there's very trace amounts of atmosphere. Eventually you get to the point where you're like almost never running into any single molecule of air that's orbiting the Earth. When you get out to geostationary orbit, there's just pretty much nothing, but the higher you get and the further away you get from Earth, the more and more trace the atmosphere is. So it's not like, just like when you climb a mountain, if you go from sea level up to, say, 3 kilometers in altitude, or 10,000 feet, you'll notice bags will maybe pop. Chip bags would pop, or it'll be harder to breathe because the atmosphere is already quite a bit thinner from going from sea level to 3 kilometers. So if you continue that, if you go higher and higher, like to where airliners at 10,000 kilometers or 3,500 feet or 35,000 feet, the atmosphere is a lot thinner yet, a lot thinner. And so again, kind of continue that gradient, and you'll realize, oh, the atmosphere just sort of trickles out. So my favorite thing about spaceflight would be that there is no atmosphere to slow a vehicle down, or virtually no atmosphere to slow it down, discernibly at least. So, typically when you think of vehicles, a car, for instance, when you let off the gas or the accelerator pedal, you're slowed down by ground friction through the wheels and through the bearings and through the drive shaft, and potentially your engine braking if you're not in neutral, or the clutching or whatever, what have you. But you're also slowed down by atmospheric drag. So there's multiple forces acting against the vehicle, and that slows you down. So in space, there is nothing to slow you down. So what's crazy about that is when you raise your orbit to, say, like this mission, 575 kilometers, if you want to slow down, and when you slow down, you actually lower your orbit, and if you speed up, you'll raise your orbit. That's how orbital mechanics works. If you slow down in space, you can't just like pump the brakes. You actually have to fire your thrusters in the same way you did to raise your orbit. You actually have to use thrusters to lower your orbit. I just think that's crazy. So it's nuts that once you're in motion like that, in order to change, and that's called delta V, a change of velocity. In order to change your velocity, you have to accelerate. You have to apply thrust, and I just think that's really crazy. So that's my favorite thing. I think space flight and space exploration is a different topic, but my favorite thing about space is just kind of that fact. It's not. I didn't get into the philosophy of space flight or space exploration, but yeah, I just thought that'd be kind of fun. This is a good question from Irie Live. What do you think the extra risk might be with re-entry coming in from that higher apogee? It hasn't been done before, but do you think it's any major issue at all? I would confidently say it's not any major issue at all. I say that pretty confidently because obviously they would have checked that out well ahead of time and known in mission planning whether or not the Dragon's heat shield and the rest of the systems can handle the re-entry. It's not that much more going from 400 kilometers down to up to from 575. It's not going to be that much more strenuous on the heat shield. The velocity difference is only when you say you keep the crazy thing is here. Oh, here we better listen into the go no go poll. So let me actually pull this up here. Oh, actually, they're not quite there yet, but I'm going to keep this kind of plugged in so I'm aware of when they go into the go no go poll. I want us to be able to know. Yeah. Okay, so the crazy thing to think about when you're actually at a higher orbit, you're orbiting slower. Your actual velocity is slower at that higher orbit. But if you're at a high orbit and you lower your lowest point, your perigee, because you can make an elliptical orbit where you have a high point and then a low point, your low point will be faster than a lower orbit lowering its orbit, if that makes any sense. Sorry, that's really confusing. So it is a little bit more punishing on the heat shield, but it's well within the operational range of Dragon capsule and the heat shield. So no stress there. So don't worry. Let's see here. This is a good question from Charco Gaming. Hey Tim, when do you think rockets will ever be the cheapest long distance transportations? It's a very interesting concept to think about the potential of rockets actually being cheaper than an airliner. I don't know if it can, simply because it will always require more fuel to travel from point A to point B. Well, not always, but for 99% of travel, I think I could pretty safely say it takes more fuel to, just purely in the cost of fuel. But then you have the higher risks. You have other operational costs and considerations with rockets that you don't have with airplanes and jets. So I just don't think the cost will ever actually be that competitive, but we might get to the point where it's, I mean, even if it got to the point where it's twice as expensive as a flight, and you could get somewhere around the world in 45 minutes versus, you know, a full, you know, 18 hours or something. It's just, I don't know. That might be pretty profound there. So I personally don't think the physics really allow, because the other thing that jets do is they actually use the air that they're flying through to not only counteract gravity through lift, they also use the air as reaction mass, as free reaction mass. So they're basically cheating because they get to use the air totally to their advantage in every way. Oh, here we go.
Non-urgent no-go conditions, brief the CE or LD and they'll approve aborting the countdown. For urgent issues affecting the safety of the operation, operators shall call hold, hold, hold on the countdown net. Launch control will abort the launch auto sequence immediately and proceed into the launch abort sequence. At T-minus 10 seconds, launch control will be hands-off and relying on automated abort criteria for the remainder of the count. Operators advise the launch director whether structural breakup or fire is imminent or occurring per Dragon manual escape flight rules. In the event of a fire alarm, key operators will remain at their post while the alarm is evaluated. In the event that personnel safety is threatened, evacuate to the south-facing emergency exit, which leads directly outside. Launch control, you may proceed with arming the crew arm for movement.
There you've heard the instructions and a great view from the camera on the fixed service structure looking down the crew arm. SpaceX team has been pulled. The 7 operators on Falcon 9 in firing room 4 at Kennedy Space Center have indicated they are go for propellant load of the Falcon 9 and launch. The crew is given a go.
Whoa,
the Dragon team's given a go. We're moving into the next of the major steps, retracting the crew access arm. This will take a couple of minutes. We're going to follow that by arming the launch escape system, and then at T-minus 35 minutes, begin propellant load of the Falcon 9. And sharing in the background here at Hawthorne, people watching the arm moving away as we get deeper into the countdown. Weather continues to be good for Falcon 9 launch. Range is ready to support. All systems remain green and go.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Arm continuing to move away. Once it's in position, we ought to hear the instructions to the crew to close and lock their visors, and then arm the escape system on the Dragon spacecraft.
The countdown clock is continuing to tick, and we are now at T-minus 42 minutes from launch. We're standing by the crew arm. The crew access arm has retracted, and that is one of the last major visual milestones that we'll see in preparation for liftoff, and it's slowly moving back here, should conclude shortly. And shortly thereafter, once the crew arm has been retracted, we should hear the call out that the launch escape system is armed, and from there, we'll hear that Falcon 9 prop load has started.
We saw our Inspiration 4 crew members suit up about 3 hours ago in our brand new suit up room located in the Falcon support building.
Access arm retraction complete.
That is good news. The crew access arm has finished retracting away from the vehicle. So the team suited up at...
SpaceX, you are go for section 7 of 4.100. Close visors and arm the launch escape system.
In copy that, SpaceX, we're go for section 7 of 4.100. We're closing visors and arming LES.
Okay, the next major step, you see the view of the crew inside the Inspiration 4 capsule, closing their visors. Make sure they're locked and sealed. The next step will be arming the launch escape system. That's where the Super Draco thrusters are enabled. So if anything happens from here through the countdown or flight, Dragon has the ability to leave Falcon 9 and carry the crew into a safe recovery out in the ocean. We're waiting now for the call out. The launch escape system is armed.
Yeah, John, you mentioned the launch escape system, and
Launch escape system is verified armed.
And there's that call out. The launch.
Captain SpaceX, we're closing out 4.100.
Copy that, Dragon.
There's that call out. The launch escape system is now armed. And again, this is the first of its kind escape system to provide this escape capability all the way to orbit. You can hear the team here is getting really excited as we march towards T0.
So the launch escape system, let's talk a little bit more about that. It utilizes the Super Draco engines that are installed into the Dragon capsule. There are 8 of them. There are 8 Super Draco engines on the Dragon capsule, and they're aptly named Super Dracos. They differ from the regular Dracos just a little bit. The Draco engines that are on the Dragon that help in in-orbit maneuvers, those produce about 90 pounds of force in the vacuum space. A single Super Draco engine produces 15,000 pounds of force. And so altogether, it produces over 120,000 pounds of force, and that is what is needed in case of an emergency to accelerate the Dragon capsule and crew away from any type of emergency.
Exactly. And like you said, those Super Dracos are just super-powered Draco engines, and the only time they are ever utilized is in that launch abort procedure. So we are not expecting to use them today, but we do take safety very seriously, and we take every measure possible to ensure that the crew has options and has an escape in the worst of scenarios. And like Jesse mentioned before, it's the first of its kind and provides an escape capability for the crew all the way to orbit.
Yes, so that launch escape system is currently armed. Once in orbit, we actually disarm that, and we'll be relying only on the Draco engines from there on out.
Yeah. Now, next up, we will be having prop load begin, and this is basically when when Falcon comes alive. We begin to load liquid oxygen and rocket-grade kerosene, also known as RP1, into both the first and second stages. Dragon is already fully loaded. The fuels for Dragon, the hypergulls, get fully loaded down the street from pad 39A a week or 2 in advance to launch. So it's already locked and loaded. Up next is the prop load for Falcon 9.
One thing while we've got a moment, we were talking about Super Dracos and contingency aborts. You will hear call-outs probably during the ascent, stage 1A, stage 2A, stage 1B.
Propellant tanks will be venting for propellant load.
That just means various points in time, if an escape was necessary, the Dragon flight computer is programmed to do different things. How long the engines will burn, how long it'll wait to coast to apogee, what it'll do to come back down when the parachutes are deployed. So when you hear those, it's usually the crew giving the call out and the ground echoing it. That just indicates we are moving farther and farther away from the launch pad. And so if a contingency arose, different sequences would be performed in the Dragon flight computer.
So I just wanted to take a little bit of time here to explain a few more. So they're about 90 seconds away right now from prop load. I did get our clocks completely synced with the real-time clocks. So we are only about 7 seconds ahead of SpaceX. That makes a lot more sense. We had to dial in the seconds of this mission, but we are now dialed in. So our clock will be perfectly in sync with liftoff, which, again, we're expecting to see here in 36 minutes. So in 1 minute, they will be doing fuel up. So get ready. And again, I need to say, now we're getting closer. Please, guys, there's a pinned link, a pinned comment. Please go to everydayastronaut.com/donate. That does not go to me. That goes to St. Jude Children's Hospital. Please don't worry about super chatting me. I appreciate that, but today we're helping to raise funds for St. Jude. So please go to everydayastronaut.com/donate. And again, the top donor, whoever we see, ends up either sending it to us via website at everydayastronaut.com, or if we see it on Twitter, the biggest donation today that we see that gets sent to us, we will send you a really cool thank you package from me. So please consider donating to St. Jude. On behalf of me and behalf of Inspiration Crew Mission, Inspiration 4, yes, everydayastronaut.com/donate. Yep, send your screenshots to website at everydayastronaut.com. So this is a really good question from Wizalus saying, why is the orbit so high? The answer is, why not? This is within the capability of the Falcon 9 and the Dragon capsule. This seems to be about as high. Oh, prop load just began. Yes. Holy, this is getting real. Prop load just began. Yep, so we're getting there. All right, get ready to start seeing some venting. Oh, baby. It's getting real, my friends. It's getting real. This is awesome. Okay, so the reality is that the Dragon on top of a Falcon 9, while being reused, is capable of around a 600-kilometer orbit with margins, so they can safely do that. Now, they can't really go too much higher, I don't think, without expending the booster for additional performance, which would make it a lot more expensive mission. So the fact is, like, why would you go as high as everyone's been going just to the ISS to experience the same thing? Why not go higher? If you can go 50% higher, that's pretty substantial. Let's do it. So that's exactly what they're doing. They're going 50% higher than the ISS. It'll be the highest since the Hubble Space Telescope missions. So that'll be 20 years since any human has been that high. And outside of Hubble, the last time humans were any further than that was the Apollo program in the 1960s and 70s. So pretty big milestone here, getting us back to having. And the reality is, in order to go higher, you just simply need a bigger rocket. That's just simply how it goes. It just needs a bigger rocket. So, yeah. Oh God. So my heart is starting to beat like crazy now. It's finally starting to get more real. I've been so busy here that I haven't really had time to be thinking about this too much, and I've been kind of distracted, worrying about the stream and worrying about just logistics of all this. And I don't have a very long window of being here in Florida, so like I have been stressed. Seeing fuel up now, seeing the crew arm retracted, I mean, they're going for it. And it looks like it's going to be absolutely gorgeous conditions for a launch. So this is super exciting. I mean, if you guys aren't tuning in, tell your friends and family that this is definitely the mission to watch. The cool thing is we'll be able to, when our tracking cameras lose it, since it's such a clear night, I mean, we might get tracking all the way down. The cool thing is we're also recording in 8K, 120 frames a second. So even if we lose it tracking live, or we don't have a great shot live, we'll be able to pull up the official feed and get you guys a good feed here too. So you'll be able to see the other tracking cameras in SpaceX's feed here with us, and we'll try to keep you informed of any updates, anything that they're being told. We will be in the loop with you guys as well. So yeah. Let's I'm going to answer a few more questions. They're talking about various training of the crew. There's been these videos have been played kind of throughout the stream, so you can find them on YouTube as well. Definitely worth watching. And again, I need to say, if you haven't watched information about this launch or any information about the Inspiration 4 launch and the Netflix special about it, you definitely need to watch that. I promise. If you can make it through that without crying, I don't know if you're human. It's extremely emotional. It's really well produced. I'm very impressed that that Netflix was able to produce such a high quality documentary in such a small amount of time. But moral of the story is this is a really cool mission, and I hope that everyone takes just a moment for themselves to soak this in. I know we've been saying this is a new era of spaceflight for a while now, because we've seen so many important milestones. We've seen, for me, the clicking moment that we are truly in a new era is when SpaceX successfully landed on December 21st, 2015. SpaceX landed their first booster 1019, right out here on the Cape. And that to me was the turning point for me. Of like, this is serious. This is something new. This is something worth getting excited about. And ever since, we've seen more and more milestones. We've seen a new super heavy lift, or a heavy lift launch vehicle, the Falcon Heavy go online and perform incredibly. We've seen commercial crew program ramp up and see DM2 and see SpaceX flying crew to and from the International Space Station, perfectly successful. And these are all big milestones. And every time I say this is a new era of spaceflight, but today it's even beyond that. It's different. This is actually someone with their own private funds just literally buying a ride to orbit and giving 3 other humans a chance to join him. I mean, think about that. That was not a possibility. You could have done, I guess you could have done it on Soyuz, but you're not going to spend 3 days in a Soyuz with 2 other people. Soyuz can only hold 3 people. You could have bought your own ride on Soyuz, and they could have probably done a free fly mission. And by the way, I'm wearing, I mean, you're talking to a guy that loves Soyuz. I'm wearing an R7 shirt as we speak. I love Soyuz, especially the history of Soyuz. But it's not a vehicle, you probably could have physically purchased a ride on it and flown around in it for 3 days in horrendously cramped conditions. This is different. This is a new era. This is something to be excited about. And I hope that you guys are really soaking this moment in, because it's starting, like I said, this is just kind of starting to hit me now. And yeah, I can't promise I'm not going to be emotional, but I'll try to kind of keep it together for you guys. This is a very big one. So let's get to a few more of you guys' questions here. This is a fun question. I just want to bring the humanity out of it. Mitchell wants to know, how many people do you think will throw up? In the documentary, spoiler alert, Chris ended up throwing up in the centrifuge. And so the crazy thing is, there's not, from my understanding, there's not always a direct correlation between ground training and seasickness and motion sickness and space sickness. So Jared Isaacman, the commander, is a stunt pilot. He has flown on so many fighter jets doing extreme maneuvers. He might get sick. He might be the one that gets sick in space, and the others, Chris might not. There's not actually as strong of a correlation between motion sickness and zero-G sickness, believe it or not. So I wouldn't hedge my bets. I would not be like, oh, Chris is going to puke, because there's not that strong of a correlation between the two. So, yeah, I just thought that's kind of something fun to be reminded of here. So, yeah. All right, next question here. Let's see. Oh, this is so cool. Arnold saying, as a disabled adult who had his first real exposure to space exploration as a member of a Boy Scout troop on a field trip from Atlanta to watch the Apollo 13 launch, this means so much. Go Haley. Because yes, fun reminder, Haley is actually the first human to go to space with a prosthetic. She actually has a large prosthetic. Her femur is primarily metal, basically, at this point. That was from childhood cancer. So as a cancer survivor, in order to mitigate the cancer and part of the operations, she ended up getting a prosthetic femur put in place that even had to grow with her. It's telescopic, which is crazy. So as far as, yeah, I mean, it's just pretty nuts to think that this is the first time someone with a prosthetic is going to space, and she's representing a lot of people, a lot of cancer survivors, kids that have gone to St. Jude. She's representing them. She's representing healthcare workers. She's representing anyone with a prosthetic. I mean, she's a pretty incredible individual, and for her to be going up today is quite profound for a lot of reasons. So, let's see here. Let's see. I'm trying to get a good question here. This is correct. This is a good point. This is the first soloed flight of Dragon 2. So Dragon 2, even when it was uncrewed, like for DM1, has always flown to the International Space Station. So DM1, DM2, Crew 1 and Crew 2, all previous 4 flights of Crew Dragon capsule to space, not including in-flight abort or the pad abort, have all been, they've all gone to the International Space Station. So this is the first time it's going to be free flying for 3 days. The cool thing is, even if there's poor weather conditions, they can free fly for about a full week. I mean, I don't think that's ideal. I don't think they want to be in that small of a space for a full week, but it is actually an option. So, yeah. I kind of want to start listening in here a little bit again.
St. Jude has invented treatments that helped push the overall childhood cancer survival rate from 20% to more than 80% in the United States. In developing countries, that number is unfortunately not that high, with fewer than 1 in 5 children with cancer surviving. St. Jude has a bold mission to change that.
The Inspiration 4 mission is part of an ambitious fundraising goal to give hope to all kids with cancer and other life-threatening diseases. The goal is to raise $200 million for St. Jude. Jared already committed $100 million. Jared already committed $100 million of his own money, and the team has raised about $30 million so far, but we still have a ways to go. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice that there's a donation button where you can make your own contribution. Any amount, big or small, makes a big difference, and it's super easy to do. So go ahead and click the donate button and give what you can to help save a child's life.
Beyond the good this mission will do for science and childhood cancer, this mission is also exciting because it's the debut of the new Dragon cupola. I think we have some footages here of the cupola. It is going to be the largest continuous window in space ever by a factor of 2 and has over 2,000 square inches of viewing area.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and there's a lot that went into the design for this. This is going to outer space, so it needs to be designed and tested for, all the loads that it will see while it's out in space. It's a great view to look out of, but it also needs to act as a fully functioning portion of the spacecraft.
Yeah, we were talking about reusability earlier, and this capsule is being used for the second time on this mission. It previously supported the Crew 1 mission in November of last year, but this cupola is brand new to this capsule, brand new to SpaceX. We're debuting it on this mission, and it is there's a view of it there in an anechoic chamber, and it's just incredible that we're basically going to have 360 views of space from the forward hatch there of the Crew Dragon capsule.
That's so cool.
And this is an animation showing how its position in Crew Dragon is a little different. So Crew Dragon used to dock autonomously, or does dock autonomously to the International Space Station, that port there being underneath the nose cone, and that was removed, and for this mission is now replaced by the cupola, as we just saw. So super cool new piece of hardware that I'm so stoked to see launch here.
As we await T0 in about 23 minutes, the ground operations teams are doing a series of system checks to make sure both Dragon and Falcon 9 are ready for launch. Let's take a look at what the ascent portion of the mission will look like.
Once we hit T0, we will watch Falcon 9 and Dragon lift off from historic launch pad 39A and make their ascent. At about 50 seconds into flight, Falcon 9's engines will throttle down to help pass through the period of maximum dynamic pressure on the rocket, or what we typically refer to as max Q. And it's worth noting that once we hit max Q, the vehicle will be going supersonic.
Once we are through the period of maximum dynamic pressure, we can throttle up our Merlin engines again. From here, we are about 2.5 minutes into flight, and we have a series of 3 events that happen in rapid succession. First is MECO, or main engine cutoff. This is where all 9 Merlin engines shut off in preparation for stage separation. Stage separation is where the first stage detaches from the second stage, with the first stage making its way back to Earth for landing as the second stage continues on its journey with the third event,
which is SES-1, or second engine start 1, and that is where the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage lights up and propels the second stage along with our Inspiration 4 crew to orbit. As stage 2 heads towards its targeted drop-off orbit, stage 1 will execute 2 burns in order to make its way back to Earth. The first is the entry burn, which is where 3 of those 9 Merlin 1D engines will reignite and then shut down, and that'll help slow the stage down in preparation for entry back into the Earth's atmosphere.
While the first stage is heading back to Earth, the second stage will cut off its 1 Merlin engine that was ignited right after stage separation. Once this happens, we will wait for confirmation of a good orbital insertion. About 90 seconds after Dragon gets into orbit, Falcon 9 will land back on Earth. The landing burn, a single engine burn, will bring the vehicle speed down rapidly in order to land on the drone ship about 9.5 minutes into the mission.
While Falcon 9 first stage is landing, Dragon is preparing to separate from the second stage. At about 3 minutes after the second stage gets into orbit, we should have a great view of Dragon with its 4-person crew drifting away from the second stage. Once Dragon is a short distance away, it will begin checking out its Draco maneuvering thrusters to make sure Dragon continues to increase separation distance from the second stage.
It's getting very exciting here in Hawthorne. The nose cone deploy sequence will initiate just before T plus 12 minutes and end around the T plus 15-minute mark. We do expect to see our first glimpse of the Dragon cupola in outer space at this time.
We've just heard it. T minus 20 minutes, 5 seconds counting. Stage 2 fuel load is complete. Now we're under 20 minutes to liftoff. Been a wonderful day for today's Inspiration 4 mission, the first all-civilian mission to space. And if you joined us earlier in the broadcast, we had a pretty important question for the Inspiration 4 crew that remains unresolved. For those of you who missed that, here's your chance to weigh in.
If I had to choose between Star Wars, Star Trek, and then one of my other favorites is...
Okay, yeah, again, they have been showing this a handful of times, so I'm going to keep answering some of you guys' questions here. So this is a good question from Eddie. How do they use the bathroom with a suit on? Also, if they puke with the visor down, how does that work? I don't know about puking with the visor on. That's something I haven't thought about, but I can tell you about the suits. They actually doff or take off the suit. So Dawn would be putting it on, Doff is taking it off. They take the suits off once they're safely in orbit. You only wear the pressure suit for the highest risk portions of spaceflight, so ascent and reentry. And if there would be an event where they think there could be a potential collision, where you might have a piece of space debris or something, in that case, then yes, they will put the spacesuits back on, because if the spacesuit is on, it has a little port where you actually are connected directly to oxygen. There's separate oxygen tanks, so even if there was depressurization of the vehicle, they do have a complete backup with the spacesuits. The spacesuit acts then as a tiny miniature spacecraft basically for them. So, yeah. All right, let's keep going here. Thank you from everyone. Again, guys, please, I do recommend going to everydayastronaut.com/donate to donate directly to St. Jude Children's Hospital. I do want to make it clear that that's the best way to donate to St. Jude. It all goes straight to them. There's no messy business that way, and it's the easiest thing to do. everydayastronaut.com/donate. If you want to make it even more special, I will be awarding the top donor. Sounds like we're at $500, so if you've donated more than $500, I want to hear about it. But send a screenshot to website at everydayastronaut.com. If you've donated, whoever's the highest donor at the end of this mission, at the end of tonight, once I'm off air, whoever donates the most in that time, I'll send you a very nice package of a thank you package with some signed merch and a nice little note, and I'll make it extra special for you. So please consider donating to St. Jude Children's Hospital by going to everydayastronaut.com/donate. That goes straight to the St. Jude website, so it's the easiest thing to remember, everydayastronaut.com/donate. So there you go, guys. We are coming up on T-minus 15 minutes. I'm going to actually take a quick little miniature break. I'm going to leave you with our feeds, and you'll watch us kind of getting cameras set up. I'm going to make sure everything is good to go here for us, so that I can be prepared to stream with you guys and watch this historic mission along with you. It's going to be incredible. So yeah, give me just one moment here, and I will be right back.
To because the International Space Station is closer, it takes a little less time to orbit the Earth, so they see 16 orbits a day relative to what this Inspiration 4 crew will see will be 15 orbits a day.
I do want to comment on what we're seeing on screen. This is the Falcon 9 rocket.
Stage 2 launch load has started.
That was the call up for stage 2 liquid oxygen loading. You can start to see some white clouds around Falcon 9. That is normal and expected for us at this stage in the countdown. We are topping off that super chilled liquid oxygen, and when it reaches the warmer ambient air temperatures of Florida, it starts to condense and form those clouds that you see.
Now, if you notice that the second stage there is a slightly whiter shade than the first stage. That's because the first stage has been reused twice before. It previously supported the GPS 3.4 and GPS 3.5 missions back in 2020 and 2021 of this year. So that booster is making its third flight today. The Dragon capsule is making its second flight. It previously flew on the NASA Crew 1 mission to the International Space Station. So that's why the second stage looks a little different than the first stage there, just underneath it.
Again, if you're just now joining us, you are tuned in to the first all-civilian mission to orbit, known as Inspiration 4. It's getting very exciting here. We're just a little over T-minus 15 minutes from T0.
And we started covering the action at T-minus 4 hours with the crew walking out of Hangar X. They made their way over to the Falcon support building where they got suited up. And then we saw them hop in the Teslas, ride up to the pad, go up the fixed service structure and walk down that lit crew access arm that we see there connecting Falcon 9 to the tower. And it's hard to believe that we're now under 15 minutes before launching the first all-civilian mission to orbit. Again, these are 4 non-professional astronauts. They're people just like us, and they're going to be going to space for 3 days. They're going to be orbiting Earth at 17,500 miles per hour. So they're basically going so fast that they won't fall back to Earth until we tell Dragon to do so. And they're going to be going up to a height of 575 kilometers.
Yep, and at those speeds and at those altitudes, they're going to be doing tons of science, which is super cool. And all of that data is going to be available for folks to continue to push the boundaries of what human space exploration will be in their near future.
So that's a live view of Falcon 9 with Crew Dragon for the Inspiration 4 mission sitting on top. There we can see our 4 soon-to-be astronauts there, comfortable in their seats. Throughout the day, we have seen a lot of camaraderie, a lot of joking, and I imagine that things are starting to get a little more serious. They're really focusing in on the task at hand, which is going to space in just a little over 13 minutes.
Yeah, this is very exciting. If you've been following along, they do have a Netflix documentary following their journey all the way up until this point. And the crew has just been so incredible. It's been so amazing to watch them throughout this whole process, and very excited to see them strapped in their seats, ready to go.
We're just inside T-minus 13 minutes, counting down. Everything is still looking good for launch of Falcon 9 and Dragon at 8 hours, 2 minutes, 56 seconds Eastern Daylight Saving Time, coming up very shortly. Falcon 9 did begin propellant loading on time at T-minus 35 minutes. Loading of the RP-1 kerosene fuel onto the second stage is complete. That closed out right on time. Fuel loading is continuing on the larger first stage tank. It's about half full right now. That'll finish at T-minus 6 minutes. We ought to hear that call out on the webcast. We're continuing to load densified liquid oxygen onto the first stage and into the second stage tanks. Now the liquid oxygen load will wrap up at about T-minus 3 minutes on first stage, T-minus 2 minutes on the second stage. Now a reminder, now that we are into propellant loading, we cannot stop the countdown and try to launch later in the window. So if a problem arises that requires holding the countdown clock, those dreaded words, hold, 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 we don't want to hear, we would have to scrub for the night and try again. We have a launch opportunity tomorrow just a little bit later if conditions allow. Condition of the Falcon 9 being go, the range is go. Weather, we've had great cooperation out of the Florida weather, both ground level, upper altitude, and around the world at the contingency landing sites. On the Dragon spacecraft, Dragon mission director and that team has reported no issues. They've done their communications checkouts. The crew access arm that you can see is retracted away from the Dragon spacecraft. We armed the launch escape system on time. And on the right-hand side of the monitor, you can see the 4-person crew strapped in, and they are ready to go. Coming up in about a minute, we're going to get final instructions to the crew at T-minus 10 minutes. They're going to configure their crew displays for launch, and that's a setup that'll give the crew insight into how the launch is proceeding, and it'll provide updates on vehicle health. Then we'll get a little closer at T-minus 5 minutes. We'll be into terminal count for the Dragon spacecraft. Dragon will go to internal power. We'll hear continued callouts on the countdown net as we get close to 0 and a liftoff. Now, next major event coming up right now, T-minus 10 minutes, as I said. Dragon will get its final instructions. We will also do a final series of checks of Falcon 9 telemetry against a preset limits. Make sure that all systems are go, and then we'll be moving from there into the closeouts on propellant, chilling into the engines to get ready for engine ignition down at about T-minus 2 seconds. Let's listen in on the countdown net for a minute.
Dragon SpaceX, confirm crew displays are configured for launch.
SpaceX Dragon, our displays are configured for launch.
Copy that, Dragon. And it has been an absolute honor to prepare you for this historic flight. Today, you are truly inspiring the world. We wish you a great mission, good luck, Godspeed, and enjoy the ride.
So, Kate, it looks like we passed through another event, the T-minus 10-minute call up to the crew to reconfigure. That final message from the ground team as they get ready to have Inspiration 4 team inspire the world. On the Falcon 9 side, we're doing the last T-minus 10-minute checks. And the next major event coming up, I think you've got that event.
Yeah, that was, I just want to note, that was SpaceX Core, which stands for the Crew Operations and Resource Engineer. That was the voice of Sarah Gillis, and she is basically the primary resource to the crew. We can see some excitement there on the right-hand side of your screen as the crew, I think they're really starting to realize that they're going to space in under 10 minutes. Now, the next major event that we have coming up will occur at T-minus 7 minutes. You'll hear the call out for engine chill. Engine chill is simply, as the name says, we chill down some of the hardware in the engine. We're actually going to flow a little bit of the super chilled, densified liquid oxygen through the turbo pumps and allow that hardware to basically come down, the temperature come down. This allows us to avoid any thermal shock to the hardware when the full flow of super chilled liquid oxygen occurs at startup. So there on your screen, Dragon Resilience with the Inspiration 4 crew strapped in their seats there at the top of the rocket. Once again, if you're just joining us, this is the first all-civilian mission to orbit, and they are going to space in 7.5 minutes. They will be ascending to an altitude of 575 kilometers above Earth and orbiting Earth at that altitude for 3 days. There's that crew there on your screen. On the far left seat is Chris Sombroski. Next to him, Dr. Cyan Proctor, the pilot. Next to her to the right, Commander Jared Isaacman. And to the right of Jared, Haley Arsenault, the medical officer.
Stage 1 engine chill has started.
All right, there's that call that Stage 1 engine chill has started.
We don't really have a good view, but right now at the base of the Falcon 9, the 9 Merlin engines are beginning to vent a little bit of liquid oxygen overboard down into that flame bucket. As Kate says, that's chilling in the turbo pumps in preparation for going to high-speed flow at T-minus 2 seconds. Nice view on top of the fixed service structure looking down at Dragon. The transport erector, or strongback, is currently still clamped onto the second stage right next to the vehicle. We'll see that retract starting about 4.5 minutes before launch when the arms open up, and then the strongback will recline away a couple of degrees. What we're getting ready for
RP1 load complete.
right now is that call out. We're right on time. the fuel load, the RP-1 kerosene, refined petroleum 1, rocket propellant 1 grade, is loaded onto the first stage. So that leaves us with just liquid oxygen loading continuing on both first and second stage. And you can see that moist Florida air slowly breezing by the 2 chilled down liquid oxygen tanks. And you can see the mist coming off as the moisture, the humidity in the air condenses and gives you those clouds.
Yeah, that super chilled liquid oxygen coming into contact with the ambient Florida air. So creates these puffs of white clouds. As John said, completely normal. In fact, we will be seeing more of those once LOX load completes and those lines are closed off to the vehicle.
All right, guys, I hope you guys can hear me still. I'm switching some things up here, getting ready for everything. We're making sure cameras are all rolling. All the high-speed footage is ready. Again, we will be shooting this in, most cameras are gonna be at 120 frames a second, which is gonna be awesome. So my heart is racing right now. This is getting very real. I'm so excited they're going for this at the beginning of the launch window. I just think it'll be beautiful. So again, if you guys are watching right now, please consider donating to St. Jude Children's Hospital. Forget your terminal count. Sweet. So they're going to be letting go of the strong back that holds onto the rocket. Yeah, so they're getting ready to let go, to pull the strong back, which is currently holding onto it. In order to do that, they do press the tanks to operational flight loads and flight pressures, and then they'll retract the strong back. So we should actually be able to see that here. Strong back is now retracted. It doesn't retract very much until liftoff. At liftoff, it will retract, recline almost to 45 degrees as it fully lets go of the rocket. So, yep. All right, so we're getting darn close, guys. Thank you for your patience with us. This is going to be insane. So, yeah, I'm probably gonna leave their audio up, SpaceX's audio up for now, and then I'm gonna switch at about T-minus 1 minute here. I'll switch to us. So if you do wanna hear the official SpaceX feed, have that pulled up in a separate browser or a separate window or whatever, and do your own audio mixing. But I did need to make sure one more time, now that we're right at the very end here, please consider following the cause of what this Inspiration 4 mission is all about, and Jared Isaacman's ultimate wish is to help try and raise $200 million for St. Jude Children's Hospital. So if you want to help contribute, please go to everydayastronaut.com/donate. That'll take you straight to the St. Jude's website to donate. And again, we'll be rewarding the top donor that's hearing this message. If we see, so far the top donor we have is $500 has donated to St. Jude. Whoever is the top amount tonight during this stream, if we see it on Twitter, or whoever's the top one that emails us at website@everydayastronaut.com with proof of your donation, I will send you a very personal gift, and as a thank you for doing that. So stay tuned. Okay. It's getting real, guys.
Connected
It's
to the
getting
power
real.
systems of Pad 39A. As you just heard, the crowd is super excited here at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California, as we are now under 2.5 minutes until the launch of the Inspiration 4 crew. That crew there can be seen on the right-hand side of your screen, buckled in and ready to go.
Stage 2 LOX load complete.
So the next thing for us will be T-minus 45 seconds.
And there's the call that
we'll
stage
be
2
in about
LOX load is complete.
45 seconds or so from now, we will hear the final
Falcon is
launch
now
director
fully
verifying we're go for launch.
loaded with all of its propellants.
Closeout will begin
So,
shortly.
at that
Expect
point-
loud venting.
Announcement to let the crew know that as we
is
vent off
crazy.
various lines on the launch pad, we'll hear some loud noises. Let the crew know that's planned. We're also right now draining the liquid oxygen out of the transporter erector, draining the lines, getting ready for launch.
I can't imagine.
Waiting for the startup call at T-minus 1 minute.
I can't imagine.
ITS is on. Second man is in startup. Dragon is in countdown.
You can hear the cheers. We're inside 1 minute.
SpaceX, go for launch.
Inspiration 4 is go for launch. Punch it, SpaceX.
Commander
T-minus
calling
30
down.
seconds.
Punch it, SpaceX.
Go for launch. Here we go, guys.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Yes!
ignition. And liftoff. So thank you. Go Dragon. Go Falcon.
Holy crap!
Godspeed Inspiration 4. Copy, 1 Alpha.
Holy crap, guys!
Pulse pitching downrange.
Holy crap! Oh my god! No way! Godspeed Inspiration 4. Holy crap. Oh my god, I'm shaking. Wow. Holy crap. Oh, that's incredible. 4 people I just saw yesterday. 4 people I just saw yesterday and talked to yesterday. Look at, there's the twilight phenomenon even. What a gorgeous launch. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is unbelievable. Yep, Miko's. Get ready for second stage ignition. You can see it. Wow! 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 Ryan, find it, baby, find it. That is unbelievable. Did you find it? Yeah. Want me to try and do a little? I think you're to the left. I think it's gonna be right about. I don't see anything on that. Can you lower your gas stop here? Oh, there it is. Oh, there we go. There it is. This is, guys, I wish you could see what we're seeing right now. This is, you can see the thrusters firing from the first stage. I've never seen this. I've never seen a twilight phenomenon launch like this. Oh my God, I'm gonna point this other camera at it. Holy crap. This is insane.
That view switched, we saw some teammate fist bumps going on there inside of the cabin.
Yeah, they look like they're having a fun ride there. And their journey isn't over. We've got about 7 more minutes
still see
until
Falcon.
Dragon separates from the
We're going
second
to see entry
stage.
burn.
Yes, next milestone for this mission is actually going to be happening on the first stage. It's going to be performing a re-entry burn that's going to be coming up around the T plus 7 minute and 30-second mark. That burn is used to slow down the first stage before it re-enters the denser parts of the atmosphere. A few minutes later, it will execute a landing burn and make an attempt to land on our drone ship that's currently parked in the Atlantic Ocean.
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Dragon copies.
So far,
Sorry.
I was just going to say, so far, everything looking great for the Inspiration 4 crew. Hearing that everything is proceeding nominally there with the second stage, which is what you see on the right-hand side.
Stage 2 propulsion is nominal.
I was just going to say that MVAC engine we just heard now is looking nominal.
About a minute left to go before the first stage performs its first burn.
Oh, it's starting to get foggy. See the cloud cover.
And on your left-hand side, looking at the first stage, you may see those white puffs. Those are the nitrogen puffs helping
We
to
might
steer
be able
and
to catch-
guide the vehicle. Basically,
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
is the attitude control
Dragon copies.
for the vehicle as it makes its way back down to Earth.
There's the crew on the right-hand side of your screen. I think I see some more thumbs up there. Dr. Proctor is clearly excited that she's finally in space. Again, this mission will be orbiting Earth for 3 days, and they will be at an altitude of
see re-entry, guys. I'll pull it up.
575 kilometers, which, if I remember correctly, John,
Oh, there it is.
you said that
You
that
see
is
it?
the distance from Los Angeles to the Golden Gate
We
Bridge.
have re-entry
There
burn.
you go. They're going to get there a lot faster.
Stage 2 FTS.
Wow.
Right now,
That's incredible. No way. Wow. Clean cutoff.
What you're seeing on screen on the left-hand side is the
Yes.
entry burns, the first of 2 burns on the first stage.
That was so
Again,
cool. I've
this
never really
first stage
seen
has
the entry
already
that clean.
separated from the second stage.
Good
So
tracking,
the first
guys.
stage
Burn, shut down.
is
All right, let's watch the
making
official
its way
feed
back
for you
to
guys
Earth,
now.
trying to land, and the second stage, everything is going well. It is headed into orbit with the crew on board.
This
Actually, there on
is
your screen,
unbelievable.
you
I
can
was
see
shaking, I
a
was
sunrise
crying, I couldn't
horizon
talk.
there with planet Earth just behind the glowing MVAC engine.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
call out stage 2 and terminal guidance. We're at the altitude. We're working the angular momentum we need to get into the right orbit. And if you're wondering,
Wow.
crew's pulling about 3.5 Gs right now, less than it took on the first stage flight.
So in about 15 seconds, we are expecting
Copy,
the
Shannon.
we are
Throttle
expecting
I
down.
think that's actually
the
sunset.
MVAC
Kate
to
said
throttle
sunrise,
down
but I think
and
that's
cut
sunset.
off an event called second engine cutoff, and then we'll wait for the confirmation of good orbit. At the same time, the first stage will be beginning its landing burn. And here we have the MVAC. We just saw that it
And
shut off
peaking.
its engine.
Stage 1, landing burn started.
Dragon SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
All right, good news there. Nominal orbit insertion. That's amazing news for our Inspiration 4 crew.
Copy that, Jack. We show the field. You have to be approved in to make this mission possible. We were just carried right to the doorstep of an exciting and unexplored frontier.
Look,
Few have come
right on
before, and many
bullseye.
are about to follow. The door's opening now, and it's pretty incredible.
Stage 1, landing is confirmed.
Dragon SpaceX, launch escape system is disarmed.
And you can hear the excitement behind me. We just heard from Jared thanking everyone for making this mission possible.
Yep, stage 1 landed.
The Dragon capsule and crew are in a nominal orbit. In a few minutes here, we'll begin opening that. Oh, excuse me. In a few minutes here, we'll separate from the second stage, and then shortly after that, we'll begin opening that nose cone.
Remember how we were talking about the
At
ISS?
the same time, we landed our first stage on the drone ship, which is super exciting.
As if the second stage action wasn't exciting enough.
Right.
So there's that MVAC engine, like we mentioned before. It has already shut down in an event known as second engine cutoff. And the crew are now gliding, if you will.
Now, one thing right now is we're coming up just under 11 minutes in the flight. We're waiting another minute and a half or so before we get into the separation sequence. The second stage is going through a series of events where we make sure that gases are all pushed out of the system. There aren't any what they call disturbance torques. We want to make sure that the second stage is very stable, it's quiet, it's not moving around, it's not doing anything. So we give it a few minutes to actually just vent everything down, then go into quiet mode. Then Dragon will send the command to separate itself from the Falcon 9.
Yeah, it definitely
will be pushed away. Falcon 9 stays in orbit for a while till it eventually comes back to Earth, and then Dragon moves on its way.
Yeah, John, you talked about the terminal count earlier today, and this is almost similar to that. It's like another check before the next event that happens.
The beauty of the countdown.
Okay, we're about 30 seconds away from separation of Dragon from the second stage. The view on the left-hand side of the screen is a view of the unpressurized section of Dragon. So it's the sort of back end, the trunk section of the Dragon. So when we do see separation, we'll see that kind of push away from the second stage and make its way into orbit.
Once again, the Inspiration 4 has lifted off from pad 39A. They are now in orbit around Earth, and there you can see on your screen.
Separation confirmed.
There we go.
So that is
Dragon separation.
Dragon on behalf of the Falcon 9 team, we gave you a good ride orbit. Enjoy your time on orbit, and we look forward to you flying again with SpaceX.
Yeah, it was perfect.
And copy that, Curtis. We really appreciate it. Myself back in LCC.
Oh my God.
That was the voice of SpaceX Chief Engineer Bill Gerstenmaier communicating with
Good thing you guys weren't trusting me with the
Inspiration 4
camera, because I wouldn't have done
Jared
anything with it.
Isaacman. So Dragon has separated away from the second stage, and that's the view that we have on the left-hand side of your screen. A lot of space there.
Expected
the
loss
next
of signal Bermuda and New Hampshire.
and then the next event that we are anticipating is the opening.
Dragon SpaceX, nominal dehumidifier activation and service section Draco checkouts.
We're going to open up that nose cone.
There we show you.
So we heard the call out, nominal Draco checkouts after separation.
And there's that first view that we have over the shoulders of Commander Jared Isaacman and pilot Cyan Proctor. Dr. Cyan Proctor is on the right-hand side, and Jared is on the left-hand side. And this is their dashboard for the next 3 days. These touch screens provide them all of the telemetry and data and information about the systems on board Dragon that they can interact with while on orbit.
We can see the zero-G indicator floating around.
And it looks like it is a little golden retriever.
Oh, like the golden retriever assistance dogs at St. Jude Children's Hospital. That is apropos.
Oh, I love it. 5th crew member on board with the Inspiration 4 crew.
So in a few seconds here, we are expecting the nose cone to open up, and hopefully we'll be able to see the first views of the Dragon cupola in space.
There we can see that they have just opened up their visors.
And there is a forward hatch inside of Dragon between the cupola and the crew. So when the nose cone does deploy, they won't immediately get to see out the cupola, but once they can get out of their seats, open up that hatch, they'll get some incredible views of space. And on your right-hand screen is Mission Control Hawthorne at SpaceX headquarters here.
Guys, this I'm gonna wrap this stream up soon because I want you guys just watching the SpaceX stream. This is incredible. This is one of the most profound days of my life. I've been sort of speechless during a flight. I've never broken down, unable to do anything but just bawl before. This, I don't know if it's just the personal connection with the crew, if it's just the beauty of it. It was just gorgeous. And I really hope that you guys took a moment to just soak this moment in, because this is a big one. This is a really, really big mission today, guys. And I am so excited to be, not only about just the mission itself, but about, what this means for the, the future of humanity. This just wasn't possible before. This was not possible before today. Gosh, it's just the start of something really cool, and I'm really excited to be living in this time. And I'm really excited that this mission has so much to offer as far as just fun, inspirational, and of course raising money for St. Jude Children's Hospital. And I am just really honored to be here today and witness history, because that was incredible. Sorry I couldn't keep it together. Yeah, I'm going to, again, please go to everydayastronaut.com/donate in order to get a quick link to the St. Jude Children's Hospital donation page. I'm going to work on wrapping, because I'm actually going to work on getting out of here and just watching the rest of the mission, just because I just want to soak this in. You guys are incredible. Thank you for watching. Again, everydayastronaut.com/donate. And whoever ends up sending us proof of their biggest donation today will get a large care package from me as a thank you for your donation. Join me in donating to St. Jude Children's Hospital. Again, the easy link for you guys is everydayastronaut.com/donate. But the other thing to do, if you want to send proof in, either try to get my attention on Twitter or send proof of your donation to website at everydayastronaut.com. If you want to earn a chance to, like I said, whoever we have proof of with the highest donation today during today's live stream will end up, I'll send you a nice big donation. So, or a nice big box of goodies. So, guys, I love you all. Take good care of each other. Be good people, and just soak this in for me, okay? This one, I wasn't even sure if I was going to be coming out here, scheduling conflicts and stuff, and this was incredible. And I just hope that you guys get to, if you haven't watched the Inspiration 4 documentary on Netflix leading up to this moment, do it. In retrospect, it's beautiful. It's something really, really special. So I hope that you guys, reminder, if you need to know about Dragon Capsule, kind of the timeline that they experienced today, sort of, I have 2 videos about Dragon Capsule flight and Dragon Capsule reentry. Just type in Everyday Astronaut / Dragon Capsule or something, and you'll find it. That should hopefully give you more information if you have questions about the Dragon Capsule. And stick around the channel, of course. I try to do as many explanation videos as I can, explaining spaceflight topics, including, like why does Starship belly flop, comparing the difference between Starship and Falcon 9, because they're profoundly different vehicles. Just browse around if you're new here. Thank you for watching with me. It's truly an honor. But I'm gonna work on heading out, my friends. I don't have much else to say, which is unusual for me. So, okay. We have a $1,000 donation. We have proof of a $1,000 donation. So there you go. That's our current confirmed high number, $1,000. So as of right now, 1,000 is. Somebody donated $1,776. Actually, that is. So if you are higher than $1,776, send us proof. And we will, right now, the person that donated $1,776 is getting a nice care package from me. So send proof to website at everydayastronaut.com. tonight. Donate tonight. Again, everydayastronaut.com/donate. That'll be sent to St. Jude. Sorry, I'm also getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. As you can see, oh, they're so nasty. You can see like 5 of them. This is disgusting. Silly old Florida. But yeah, again, thank you guys. I love you. I'm going to wrap. That's all. All right, that's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for all of you beautiful people. Goodbye, everybody.